Good morning, everyone. My name is Ginny Shinabel Amin, and today I will be reporting about the Philippine literature, which is the poetry. And since we already discussed about what is the literature and the types of literature, which is the prose and the poetry. So today I will be reporting about the poetry and what are the types of poetry that we have. So um, the poetry is a literature that evokes a concentrated imaginative awareness of experience or a specific emotional response through a language chosen and arranged for its meaning, sound, and rhythm. So unlike sa prose, it is focused on the arrangement of the sentence, the paragraph, and so on and so forth. In poetry, um, mas fino-focus nila yung specific emotional response through the language na gi-chose sa a writer and its meaning, sound, and the rhythm of the poem. So, under the poetry, we have different types of poetry. So, ito po yung mga different types of poetry na meron tayo, which is the narrative poetry, the lyric poetry, and the dramatic poetry. So ngayon, we will be concentrate to the narrative poetry. The narrative poetry, it describes important details in life following the order or of the event, either real life siya or imaginary. Uh, so under the narrative poetry, we also have metrical tale, epic, metrical romance, and also the ballad. So the metrical tale, it is a narrative which written in verse and can be classified either as ballad or metrical romance. Epic, it is a narrative poem or cycle of poem dealing with some great deeds, great deeds like the founding of a nation or a forging of national unity. The metrical romance, it is also a type of mythical tale composed of a long rambling love story in verse. Ito yung mga sinusulat na love story. Ballad, it is a narrative poem. This is considered the shortest and simplest. It has a simple structure and tells a single incident. So ito yung pinaka-shortest and pinaka simple talaga na ginagawa na poetry. So next we have the lyric poetry. So lyric poetry means any short which is song-like. This is the most common type of poetry. For example are the haiku. The haiku is a short uh, Japanese poem consisting of 17 syllables arranged in 3 lines. The ode, a serious lyric poetry which commemorates important public event. It is consists of stanza with the same pattern or rhythm and rhyme. And then the elegy, a common lyric that deals with life and death. It mourns the death of a loved one. So, ito yan siya yung ginagamit every time may lamay, mga patay, ito yun siya. So, furthermore, sa sonnet is a love poem which mostly consists of 14 lines and has certain patterns of rhythm and rhyme. Okay, ito yung mga under sa lyric poetry. So, next we have the dramatic poetry. So, dramatic poetry tells story like narrative poetry, but in dialogue of play, rhymes, repeating rhythm, and other poetic elements. One of the most famous dramatic poet in the English playwright William Shakespeare. It is William Shakespeare. Siya yung pinaka-famous sa dramatic poet in English playwright. So under the dramatic poetry, we also have different types of dramatic poetry, which is we have first the comedy, second melodrama, third the tragedy, fourth farce, and fifth the social poem. So the comedy, the word itself, comedy, comes from the Greek term komos, meaning festivity or revelry. This form usually is a light and written with purpose of amusing and usually has an happy ending. So sana all happy ending, no? 'Di ba? It is has happy ending kapag sinusulat yung dramatic poetry, which is yung types na ginamit is comedy. So, next we have melodrama. Melodrama, this is usually used in a musical play with the opera. Yung mga theater. Ito yun siya. Today, it is related to tragedy just as the farce is to comedy. It's arouse the immediate and intense emotion, and it is usually sad, but there is a happy ending for the principal character. Sad naman yung story niya, pero at the end of the story, magiging magiging happy naman din sila. Then, next we have the tragedy. Tragedy, it is involves the hero struggling mightily against dramatic forces. He meets death or ruin without success and satisfaction obtained by the protagonist in comedy. So tragedy, dito yun mababasa mo yung nag-struggle yung main character sa karakter niya na nahihirapan siya sa dynamic ng flow sa kwento. So nakikita niyo yung kwento na paiba-iba. So nahihirapan yung main character. So next we have farce. This is an exaggerated comedy. When we say exaggerated, OA na talaga siya. It seeks to arouse meat by laughable lines. Situations are too ridiculous to be true. So hindi masyado hindi kapapaniwala. So, to be true. The character seems to be caricature and motives under the dignified absorb. So, yun. The social poems. Next, we have the social poems. This form is either purely comic or tragic, and it's picture the life of today. It may aim to bring about changes in social condition. So, social poems. So, social poems, it is used to write yung mga happenings in our surroundings. So, like, news. Yun mga news. Yun, social poems yun siya na sinusulat na for yung happening in our surroundings. So, I think that's all, and I hope you have learned a lot na naiintindihan lang naman ng lahat the types of poetry that we have, and ano-ano po yung iba-ibang types din under the different types of poetry, which is like the narrative poetry. We have also under the narrative poetry we have the mythical tales, epic, mythical romance, and ballads. So mga ganun. So I hope you have learned a lot and understand naman, and I hope to see you all, guys. Thank you.